Room 13 presents. It was during the murky stillness of a September twilight that George Latham first saw it, a peculiar glimmer flickering from the attic window. Living alone in the sprawling Lathbury Manor, George had grown accustomed to its symphony of eerie creaks and nocturnal whispers. But this was different, distinct. It peered like an eye from the heart of the house he thought he knew. Lathbury Manor stood isolated at the end of a winding, weather-beaten road, embraced by dense, tangled forests that seemed to whisper forgotten secrets. Its grandeur had faded, wrapped now in the melancholic grip of ivy and gloom. Yet when it came into George's possession from a distant relative, he felt an inexplicable tug, a call, silent and persistent. The glimmer from the attic seemed alive, dancing softly as if to a tune only it could hear. George dismissed it initially as the play of moonlight against old, dusty glass, or perhaps just the imaginings of a sleepless mind. Yet, over the next few nights, it persisted, growing bolder, a steady heartbeat he found hard to ignore. One evening, curiosity sealed his fate, driving him to the uppermost floor with a hesitant resolve. The air grew colder with each step upward, shadows curling around him deliberately. The wooden steps groaned beneath his feet, a symphony for rooms that had slept for too long. Upon pushing open the attic door, a chilling draft of air wrapped around him. The space was cluttered with the ephemeral belongings of bygone eras, furniture draped in yellowing sheets, silhouettes of trunks etched with time, and an assortment of objects whose purposes had long been forgotten. But there, against the far wall, stood a mirror, ancient and quaintly ornate, its surface clouded with age, yet pulsating with that strange luminescence he had seen from below. No sooner had he fixed his gaze upon it than a sensation crept over him of being watched. The reflection that stared back was not quite his own. In the faint light, his eyes seemed darker, holding a shadow that lurked just beneath their surface. Unease coiled in the pit of his stomach, yet he couldn't tear his eyes away. It was when he turned, intending to leave the anomaly behind, that he felt a chill grip around his wrist, firm, cold, and invisible. Panic surged through his veins, and he stumbled back, looking wildly around the seemingly empty attic. Gathering his wits, he darted down the stairs. But even back in the safety of his bedroom, sleep was evasive, overshadowed by a persistent dread. Days turned into weeks, yet the episode in the attic lingered, gnawing at the edges of his sanity. Each night as he tossed restlessly in bed, he felt that same cold grip closing around his heart. Despite his resolve to ignore it, the allure of the attic became suffocating. George decided to delve deeper, spurred by an irrational belief that unraveling its mystery would restore his peace. His inquiries began at the local library. He immersed himself in the history of Lathbury Manor, tracing the deeds of its previous occupants. What he discovered unearthed another layer of unease. The manor was said to be cursed, its past veiled in legends of madness and whispers of mysterious disappearances. The most peculiar of these stories revolved around its 19th century owner, Edwin Harcourt, a reclusive figure rumored to be obsessed with the occult. It was said that Edwin had vanished inexplicably one winter night, leaving only an enigmatic diary and that very mirror now haunting George's attic. Possessed by this newfound knowledge, George felt an eerie pull to return to the attic, to confront whatever slumbered within its shadows. Armed with a flashlight, he ascended once more into its depths, his footsteps measured, each one drowned out by the pounding of his heart. The mirror stood waiting, enigmatically serene. Entering into a trance almost, he thumbed through Edwin's decaying journal found near the mirror's base. Its pages brimmed with cryptic incantations and fevered notes on the pursuit of immortality, and on the final entry, a strange warning. What lies beyond is neither dead nor alive. It is in waiting. Beware the door you cannot see. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted around him, the air rippling perceptibly. An unseen presence shuffled through the dust, circling about him. Then, the reflections in the mirror began warping grotesquely, his image always subtly distorted, his expression twisted with undefined malice. Words unfurled from nowhere, white and ephemeral on the mirror's glass. "Join me." This time, as panic surged through George, the attic door slammed of its own accord, sealing him into the dark embrace of the room. The air felt electric, buzzing with whispers he could barely fathom. Paralyzed by fear, he watched as shadows poured out from the corners. They wove sinuously around him, tendrils of something beyond comprehension. From them emerged a figure, a man with hollow eyes, bearing a striking resemblance to Edwin Harcourt from the fading photographs George had unearthed in the library. The apparition spoke, a voice not quite human, reverberating with distant echoes. "You wish to understand, but once you do, you cannot return. It costs more than you can pay." With mounting dread, George realized this was no mere specter, but Edwin himself, trapped in his pursuit for eternity. The mirror was not just glass and frame, but a doorway scribed with the echoes of despair. It was a trap, meant to catch those like him, those too curious or too bold for their own safety. His mind reeled, chaos and clarity fought within him. He mustered what courage he could to voice a plea. "I wish to leave," he whispered, though his voice barely escaped his lips. Desperation clung to him as he fought to escape the claustrophobic terror that enfolded him. The specter's lips creased into a hollow smile, mournful and sardonic. "There is a price, as there is for all things. Will you bear it?" George, trembling, felt the weight of inevitability crashing down upon him. His desire to escape overwhelmed fear, driving an answer from his depths: yes. The moment the word left his lips, an excruciating coldness infiltrated his being. His soul seemed to tangle with darkness, a looming shadow that tethered itself deep within. As the specter and the swirling shadows receded, George slumped to the floor, consciousness slipping away. The following morning, he awoke in his bed, the events of the night prior lingering like fragments of a nightmare. Yet, his wrist bore a silver mark etched as though by unseen fire, a testament to the pact he could scarcely comprehend, yet knew he could not recall entirely. Days resumed, but George found no solace in the daylight. Whispers tickled the corners of his mind, distant echoes beckoning him constantly. The mirror haunted his dreams, a relentless reminder of choices made and a future uncertain. Visitors who would pass by the manor spoke of shadowy figures appearing in the windows, of strange sounds emanating from its depths long after midnight. They spoke in hushed tones of the latest Latham, who often gazed from a distance, eyes shadowed with secrets untold. He became the newest enigma in the manor's haunted lore, entrapped by curiosity's deadly embrace. George, still adrift between realms known and unknown, realized he had become part of the story, another layer in the interminable whispers of Lathbury Manor. As dread seeped in, he understood that some doors, once opened, cannot be closed, and those who peer in might find more than they wished for, in mirrors that remember every soul they capture. Boom up.